You follow the Polish delegation, but you follow other Eurovision news on your website as well, I guess. Which countries have you been paying attention to? Which do you think are the ones that stand out this year?
Stand out? I think Austria really stands out this year. The performance yesterday was just amazing and breathtaking for me, and as I heard people's reactions, I think not only for me but for many people also, it was a great pleasure to watch the performance, to hear the voice. So yeah, Austria is really, and Armenia I think also. It's a good modern song with this dubstep part that grows somehow like Michael Jackson's Earth Song. I think the same way it grows and blows. So that's a good thing about this song. Yeah.
So many favorites this year, Daniel.
Yes.
How do you respond to that from a betting perspective if you don't have like a Denmark or a Loreen, you know?
That's a very good question. What I have done this year is I have tended to bet on countries which I knew would then come in price, and if I backed them at a much bigger price, then I'm sitting on a lot of bets that I'm very happy with. For example, I bet on Netherlands during their first rehearsal here. I started watching it, I was transfixed by the way it was staged and shot, and I immediately put a bet on them at 270 to 1 to win the competition. So the fact that they are now 5 to 1, I don't have to bet on them at 5 to 1, I've got a bet on them at 270 to 1. And I did something similar with Conchita Wurst for Austria, in that I knew that there would be so much hype around her that a month or so ago I was able to back her at 100 to 1, knowing that come the week of Eurovision everybody would be talking about her. So I've reached a point where I've got a couple of those kind of bets at very big prices, and I don't have to, if I haven't bet on something yet, I can kind of bet on that as well, given the certain amounts, and I can...
And then win either way.
Win either way, yes.
Yes, all right. So you're talking about the Netherlands. A colleague of you, Rob Verber, is also talking about the Netherlands. He claims that this is the country to watch on the final on Saturday, the big favorite perhaps.
I think it's got all the momentum behind it. It's the one that has impressed me the most since I've been here, since the first rehearsal. I think the staging of it is pitch perfect for the song. It's incredibly impactful. They deliver it just brilliantly. It's actually the best, I would say it's the best staged Eurovision song I've seen since I've been covering it seriously from a TV betting perspective, which is going back to 2010.
The Netherlands is the #1 favorite. Who would have thought that a couple of years ago when they didn't qualify for 8 years in a row?
Yeah, it's a remarkable turnaround. You know, you had such a terrible record, and you were kind of famous for it in the Netherlands. So Anouk started this trend, and the Common Linnets have carried it on, and it would be amazing if they took it all the way to victory this year.
Is that a serious opportunity? Do you agree with him?
I do tend to agree, yes, in the sense that as a song, I love the song, but I was worried it might pass people by because it's quiet and subtle and understated. But the way it looks on screen, the staging of it is so hypnotic, and that's so important in Eurovision. Your song, it has to be more than the song, it has to be the way it looks on the screen, and that was important for Emily with Only Teardrops last year, and it's really important for the Netherlands this year.
How does it look? Can you paint us a picture for the people who haven't seen it yet, like as if you're a director?
Yeah, it looks like an amazing love story between the pair of them. It looks like they've been through something, and they're always engaging either with the camera or with each other, and it's incredibly intimate because there are so many close-ups of just the two of them. So there's a story there, and there's interaction between them, and you're just drawn in and fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm. Now I know what you just explained to us, you bet on multiple countries for the win and then win either way, but if you would have to let go of the money and just make your list,
yes,
who would be your #1 at this moment?
I will just use the caveat that I do want to wait and see what happens in the rehearsals this afternoon, but my #1 is the Netherlands at the moment.
What about you?
Austria and then Netherlands, definitely. These two are just much higher, much above all the rest, in my opinion.
Have you seen other countries that have done it with the staging? Because that's one of the things about the Netherlands that you mentioned, right? Are there other examples of countries that have made it, that have made a huge improvement from the rehearsals that you saw?
There's nothing that has beaten the Netherlands. There are a couple of countries. I think Belarus did a really good job turning something as lightweight as a cheesecake into something that was fun, and Theo had a lot of charisma, so I admire them for that. I like the Greek staging, I like the Ukrainian staging, I like the Polish staging. It's all about being memorable. With 26 songs, people are just going to remember one thing or one aspect of your act, and those countries I've just mentioned all provide something memorable.
And how do you spot that? Because you said you're going to watch the rehearsals. How do you spot that one thing? Because you have already seen the song so many times.
Yes, it's difficult for me as someone who knows the songs very well already. So I have to try and put myself in the position of someone who hasn't. One of the things I do is when the actual event comes on, when the semi-finals were on, I didn't watch it from the press centre. I went home and watched it in an ordinary living room on the TV, because I want to try and get myself into the mindset of the ordinary people at home watching it on TV. And that was the first time I'd watched it on a normal TV rather than a huge screen in the press centre. And that was interesting because actually Poland was a good example. It just looked so much fun on TV. It was actually the first song of the night that you really remembered last night.
There's one country we haven't discussed yet, which I think was interesting. There's a song from the UK that drew the last position in the draw. You've also mentioned it that you thought that their odds were gonna, their chances were gonna be rated higher.
Yes.
Do you think she is actually another contestant for the win with this draw?
Again, I have to have her as a contender. The song doesn't really do anything for me. I find it a bit stop-start, but it kind of pushes a lot of buttons, and she's the last one on. So again, I have in a very open year. I'm open to the idea of the UK possibly winning. I think it's more likely to be top 5 perhaps, but you never know.
How about you? You didn't mention it so far. Is UK one of your favorites? Do you like it?
I think it is in my top 10, I guess. It's a good song, but in my opinion, it's in a way somehow it's similar to Only Teardrops, because it's a nice song that can be played in the radio. It's easy to listen to, so I don't think that 2 years in a row a song from the same category, musical category, will win. So I don't think United Kingdom will win, because when I compare it to the impression that I have and many of my friends after Armenia performance, the Netherlands performance, or the Austria performance, I think United Kingdom are a little bit lower than the others.
All right. What are you going to do in these next couple of days? Because we have the final coming on. What does your work require you? What is the final steps for you that you will be doing here?
Oh, somehow summarize all those things. I should do it, I think. Yeah, but it will be hard to go back to the reality after 2 weeks here in Copenhagen at Eurovision Song Contest. Yeah, and we will see who will win and how much we will talk about the winner. If it's Austria, I think there will be a lot of topics to discuss. Yeah, and if Netherlands also, because it will mean that Eurovision somehow changed and a high quality song actually can win without all those blows, fire on stage, costumes, just a simple and genius at the same time performance.
Back to basics.
Yeah. So if that happens, I will be really, really happy.
All right. What's your plan for the next for these last Eurovision days?
Well, I'll be looking at the markets, the betting markets. It's a very important time for me, so I'll be looking to add extra bets. Bookmakers are very interesting on the last day or two because they add lots of new bets, like they have head-to-heads between certain countries, so they'll offer bets between, say, Netherlands versus Sweden, who is going to win between those two countries. So they add lots of different special bets, and I will be scouring all of those to see if there's any bets that I want to take from those lists.
And that could be interesting for you. Yeah. All right, so that's what these guys are going to do. I'll probably bet that you guys are going to watch the final on Saturday. Have a lot of fun with that. This was the last episode of the ESC Daily Show for this season. I want to invite you to keep following our website and join us again for next year's Eurovision. Good night.